Hello. Hi. So another day, another video to talk about Dunk and Egg. Ha! I'm still not over it. I'm still mourning. You can see I'm wearing black. I'm not okay and I don't know how to move on with my life. So I decided to record another video talking about it. I hope you guys liked the first video well enough to watch another one. This video is more to talk about why I loved it so much. I feel like the first one I talked a lot. In the end, I said that I gave 5 stars, but I haven't expressed myself enough. So I decided to record a video just to praise Dunk and Egg. But this video, I'm going to talk about with spoilers. So yeah, I'm here to go through this grief process again. I guess the thing that I'm missing the most about not having more Dunk and Egg stories is that the atmosphere is amazing. It's just like unmatched. Like it's not like the other books. The vibe is completely different because I guess because we're not inside the court and you don't have this pressure of fighting for the power and scheming with each other, like, oh, my house is on power, but my house is on throne, and my house is like the house of the hen of the king or whatever. You're like in the ground, like like you're here. You're not here, you're here. And it makes the atmosphere so much more compelling. And I'm not downgrading the other books and I'm not downgrading the atmosphere of the other books because they are fundamental for the whole saga, but like having this perspective is just like so different, like things you wouldn't see in a Game of Thrones, especially because the place the realm is right now is completely different from the place that the main saga is, like a Song of Ice and Fire. Like, we are in the middle of the Targaryen dynasty. And it's not like Fire and Blood where someone is telling what happens to us. Like we're living it and we're seeing the people are struggling, the people are not happy. There was a rebellion, lots died. There was like a great flu, and lots died too. And there's like, a super hot summer. There's no water, and like the people are struggling, and the people are not happy. So interesting to see like the seed kind of the downfall of House Targaryen, and I guess that's the other reason why it's so compelling. Like Fire and Blood, it's the height of House Targaryen. It's just like how House Targaryen conquered a continent, how they ruled, how cool they were with their dragons, and how cruel they can be with their dragons, and how they could easily bring the realm into a divide, and how easily they could start a whole, war against each other. And now we're seeing, like, firsthand with Dunk and Egg, through the people's perspective, the downfall of this house. This house is not as popular anymore. It's not as intimidating anymore. People are not as cool with the Targaryens anymore for several reasons that we kind of get to see in Fire and Blood, and other reasons that we get to see here. But I mean, that's what happens. I mean, dynasties, they rise and they fall, and yeah, this environment is so interesting. And I guess the fact that Dunk is a hedge knight, so he's kind of detached from it. He can go from a place to another. It's very nice. And I I mean, talking about Targaryens now, I really like Egg because, yeah, I mean, he has his conceptions. He has his Targaryen conceptions, and yeah, he has to change it because now he's a squire of a hedge knight, and seeing him going through it and seeing what people actually say, because it's very different when you were a prince. Like people around you, I guess they are going to tone down what they say, or maybe not even say what they want to say. But now he is in the middle of the common folk, so he can hear what people say, he can hear their opinions, and he doesn't like it. I mean, people say that his dad killed his uncle, and he's like, that's not what happened. And he gets into fights and things like that. But I mean, this is what happened. It wasn't intentional, but this is what, like, your dad killed your uncle. And yeah, it's only normal for people to assume that he could just kill the other, like, uncles. Why not? And that's very interesting. He gets to grow up listening to the people's opinions about the realm, about his family, and yeah, I like how his character grows. Also in the stories, I guess it's pretty explicit that the first story has no pretensions. It's much more simpler. You still don't have like the Blackfire Rebellion as a background, and it's very self-contained. Is it a word? Is it expression? It's very much more into its own thing, which is great. But the progression and how the stories grow in scope is fascinating to read. Like I said, I have a really hard time picking up a favorite story. I really like the third one. I really like the Mystery Knight. It was entertaining. It was enlightening. But and like Dunk and Egg's relationship is also interesting. Like back in the end, like when Dunk thinks Egg died, you know, you see how much their relationship progressed and grew. But the first two, they have sentiment. They have emotion. They have, like the first one is just like, a knight who remember his vows. Like that moment is just like so, I think first of all, I think it's just a quote that sums up the story so well. But not only that, I feel like there's lots of sentiment in that story. The second one too, where you have like this young boy full of hopes and dreams, and he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he liked the wrong girl, and he faced the wrong person, and now like he's about to die, and then the wrong person at the wrong time tries to vouch for him, like tries to stand by his side because it's the right thing to do, and this person dies trying to do the right thing. And then Dunk is left, and he has to ask himself the question of like, was I worth that? Like this promising young prince to be king. Because now thinking about it, like he's super sad that Baylor dies and stuff, but he could have died anyway in the spring sickness because Valar died. He could have died anyway, but that's not the point. The point is like this great prince, this great knight, he died for me and nobody at Hedge Knight. Like, was it worth it? Like, will my life be worth it? And like the realm losing this super potentially important person, is it worth it? And seeing how this haunts Dunk throughout the stories, and there's so much feeling in there, and like also the fact that of like I just wanted to come here and I just just wanted to joust and look at the nightmare. And the second story too, I feel there's a lot of like, what is the right thing to do? Should I just turn away, like turn my back to the situation, and oh, there's more sides to the story than I thought. There's this nuance, and I feel like I feel like the second story, this one sword, like he's so conflicted, and it's just like so fascinating to read it, and I really liked it. I don't know, I liked it. This one was one that I started. I was like, okay, but because I liked the first one so much, but it took me like kind of 5 pages to fully get into the story. The third one, I guess, I was the most entertaining for me, I guess, because my cat is playing, sorry. Because I didn't feel as emotional, this emotional turmoil from that story. I didn't know what was going to happen with the rebellion, but I knew that something was wrong. And that was a story that I finally understood why people say that Dunk is not on the brightest mind. Because I was like, my guy, there's clearly something wrong. Like, these people are up to something. Get the hell out of there. And Dunk was like, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, he spent half of the story drunk and the other half with a hangover. And he's like, what, 18, 19? And I mean, he doesn't have a lot of experience, even though, like, after Ash for Metal, he should be a little bit more, like, because, yeah, that's the thing. He's not really bright because the previous two stories, like, he got in contact with some knights and lords and ladies. He should be a little bit more. But that's the thing that makes me like Dunk so much. Like, he's adorable. He's adorable. And talking again about the atmosphere is just like fascinating how it feels like one of those TV shows where there's like the monster of the week or the case of the week, like CSI. Like, every episode is a different case, but every case is as complicated as the previous one. Every story they get into an adventure that is like, how did you put yourself in this situation? We don't know. And I love that about Dunk and Egg because the story starts simple. He's going to a joust. There's a dam in a river, and he just has to figure that out. And he's going to a feast. And somehow they end up with a prince that um like, he kills a guy in a river to try to figure out the situation, and he's Sir marries the rival lady for some reason, and he falls in love with her. And there's a Black Fire rebellion out of nowhere, and like Brendan Reavers just show up to save the day. Yeah, that's a day with Dunk apparently, and that's why. And that's why I need more Dunk and Egg stories because I like finishing the book. I was just like, what other situations they got themselves into? Because I mean, just imagine you're just leaving your day, and I guess that's why I wasn't like as emotional with the last story. I was into it, but you're just living your day in a feast, and there's a crazy guy saying that he had dreams with you, which is is sus if someone says that. Oh, I dreamt of you the last time people died. So there's a guy saying that he had a dream with you and you were supposed to be besties and you were supposed to be in the King's Guard. And there's the sales people like whispering about, and there's a dragon egg to be won as a prize of this feast. And out of nowhere, you're in the middle of the coup to start another Blackfire rebellion. You know, Sometimes you have to listen to the 11-year-old you're carrying with you. And yeah, I mean, that's why I guess I just love the story. It's great. Dunk and Egg are great. The setting is great. The stories are great, and even though they are short, like I said, I feel like they can bring lots of meaningful themes and make you think. Like, I caught myself several times reading the book, being like, what would I do? I mean, I feel like the last story, I just really didn't, got super emotional with, because I was like, I mean, it's a kind of complicated of a situation. I wouldn't put myself in the situation. I don't know how you put yourself in the situation, but anyway. most stuff, like especially the second story, I was all the time I was just asking myself like, why would I do, and why would I do that? So I think it has like strong themes, and I like the pacing. The pacing is always is also very good. You know, you start, you don't really know where you are, but once you figure out where you are, you know, it's just like one after the other. I really like the end. I like and I hate the end because I, you know, the end is great. You get to meet, you know, Blood Raven. That was awesome. That was very nice. And it kind of ends out of nowhere. It just ends with a reflection, but at the same time, I hate it because I want more. It's not that I want. I need more. Like how am I going to keep going with my life if I don't have more Dunkin' Egg? Like I feel like at this point they are my best friends. That's so sad. That's so sad. I mean, they're my besties. And oh, I think it didn't show, but this is the Brazilian covers. I feel like I guess the Brazilian covers they are different from the US covers. Actually, this is the old cover. Now there's a different publishing house that does A Song of Ice and Fire, and no, I think they kept the same covers anyway. But it's a nice one. It's different from the American one that I have. And I mean, I'm just talking about Dunkin' Egg. I could talk about Baylor, but I can't talk about Baylor because then I want to cry. Because that's it. I'm not going to talk about Baylor, but I could talk about Baylor. I could talk about Darren and Arian. I never know how to say their name in English. Darren makes more sense. You talk about Maker. You talk about 1001 characters. I mean, I feel like I have still a lot to talk about, but I'm trying to keep the video short enough. So yeah, the themes are great. The pacing and the environment is awesome. Duncan and Egg are awesome. Like I love their dynamic and seeing how it goes, how Egg pushes Dunk, and how Dunk has to, you know, like make Egg chill because Egg is he's a prince, right? And Dunk has to be like, okay, you chose this life, your dad chose this life for you, so let's try to mingle. Let's try to, you know, pretend that you're the person that you think you are. And I think it's interesting also how Egg sounds sometimes more mature and smarter than Dunk. Because, well, in a way, yes, he is smarter than Dunk because he has a knowledge Dunk will never have. I mean, Dunk doesn't know how to read or write, and Egg does. And in a way, like he is smarter than Dunk, but Dunk even points this out. Like he's just a child. He's just a kid. So sometimes he does act like a kid. Sometimes he acts like a spoiled prince, but sometimes he just acts like a child. You know, and the Mystery Knight when he tries to use his ring to, you know, try to help the situation, to try to send a raven to his dad, like that's my guy. Right situation wouldn't, yeah, the situation would be bad. You almost died, and I mean, you shouldn't keep doing that. But yeah, he's 11 years old. He's scared. He's in the middle of a rebellion. He doesn't know what's going to happen with Dunk. Doesn't know what's going to happen with him. And, you know, like, if he has the power to try to change the situation, he's going to try to do that. So it's also nice to see duality with Egg, where he knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and the fact that he slash his dad kind of chose a different lifestyle for him, and he has to face it being a child. It's a completely different lifestyle, I guess, and that's like so great. And I'm excited for the second season of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms because I need Duncan Egg somehow, and if this is the way I'm getting Duncan Egg, fine. Just my quick opinion on the TV show. The TV show was nice, was great, was a nice adaptation, but I mean, the books are always better, right? When you get to see the characters' thoughts and the way they perceive things. I mean, it's amazing. That's why, like, I'm curious to see how they're gonna adapt the third story because reading Dunk giving descriptions of John the violinist, and you read this and you're like, this is a clearly a Targaryen or a Blackfire. Like this is a Valyrian person. This is not, you know, and see him slowly realizing who this person is or the characteristics of this person, the money, and where he is amazing. So I'm very curious to see how they're gonna do this in the TV show because the Valyrians don't have purple eyes, and like that's one of the things he realizes about Damon is that he has purple eyes. He doesn't clock it at first, but he's like, oh yeah, he has amethyst eyes. It was really funny because when I was reading it and he gave this like he was describing Damon and he said something, oh yeah, because this chain is to match his amethyst eyes, and then in my mind I was like, okay, this is purple. Is this person a Targaryen? But like I finished the paragraph and Dunk was untouched by it and phased by it, and then I was like, wait a minute, is amethyst really purple? Like, am I going wrong? Like, am I going crazy? And then I stopped. I reread it again. I was like, no, amethyst is purple and like Dunk. Why are you not? Get out of there. But no, he didn't. I loved getting to see Bloodraven in the end. He's a character that I don't know, I was very excited to read about, especially like the second story talks a lot about him. The third, like there's a lot of build up in this book to him, and there's other mentions to him throughout the saga, but this book like builds this figure of him, and then you see him, and I was just sad that the scene was so short. That's all I have to say. But yeah, he is who he think he is. Bloodraven, the guy. Yeah, I don't have much of a way to wrap up this video. It's just me rambling about Duncan Egg and why I loved it so much. I tried to keep it short. I don't know how short. I hope there's someone here with me until the end. And I think I didn't give a lot of spoilers. I thought I was going to give them more spoilers. But yeah, if you haven't read the series, because you don't care about spoilers, but if you haven't read the series, that's the time for you to read it. Please read it. Like I said in the other video, I'm begging for someone to read it and comment so we can talk about it because how am I gonna live my life dunkless? There's no way. There's just no way. But yeah, I mean, this book is really nice. I wasn't expecting to like this book so much. I wasn't expecting to record 2 videos on the book, but I guess like this book, like the first story already, I finished the story, and yeah, I mean to me it carries like a lot of emotions. This the whole story, and it's just like fascinating how a short story, an introduction story, can bring so many emotions. It's not the best story of the book because it's the first one, and like George wasn't like planning going anywhere with it. The second one and the third one are longer, like the pages are longer and also like more detailed, and like Duncan Agg's relationship is more detailed, blah 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 blah. But like for you to just start with such a strong story like the first one, full of emotions, and like I said in the end, where Dunk is just like, was it worth it? Like a food worth the whole kingdom, like worth a whole prince? Like that's such a deep and sad question that he asked himself. And like I said, the impact that this has to him, and the fact that he wants he already wanted to be a good knight, but now he wants to be a good person because he wants to honor Baylor's memory and then Valar's memory after that, in a way. And you see like him having dreams and him having thoughts in moments where he has to challenge what being a good person is to him. And you see like Baylor like hovering around, like hovering the situation. And it was a book. The first story was a story that truly inspired me to want to be a better person, like for real, like not joking. Like it was a story that I finished, like I read it twice and I finished. I was like, I want to be like this guy. Like like both of them, like Baylor, my husband, marry me, and also Dunk, like two people very honorable, but not in the fake way or not in the gallant way. I don't know if this is a word in English, but like in the not honorable because being honorable is seen with good eyes, but like they are honorable for good and for bad. Like they are willing to pay the price for being honorable. They're not honorable in the way that Stannis is honorable. I like my guy Stannis, but like I feel that is a self-sacrificing type of honor that Dunk and Baylor have, and it's just like inspiring. There's no other way of saying it. It's just like inspiring, and I feel like, genuinely speaking, Dunk is the best person in A Song of Ice and Fire, in the way of like truly being like honorable and trying to do things for the good of others and like trying to help others, like at least like top 3, top 5, like best characters in this universe. So yeah, I guess with this reflection of Duncan Egg, and I mean, maybe trying to sum up why I love this story so much, I'm going to end the video. I guess, like you said, it's an inspiring story, it's an entertaining story, it's a good addition to the Ice and Fire universe. It's beautifully written. You still have like the gritty moments, definitely, but it's awesome. And I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.